Hey, everybody. I see from the chat, just looking at the names, I recognize a lot of you. This feels like Artisan University reunion, interestingly. But I did invite some other people. So to those of you who were here for Artisan University, great. For those of you who just were interested in Artisan Author, great. Good to see you all. So I'm here with my friend David Vergoots. And by the way, I haven't quite figured it out. I've been saying Vergoots, but like there are other people like Vergoots.
I'm still figuring it out. And so
Okay.
I'm just like, whatever you call me is fine. I've been called a lot of things. So my last name, butchered or not, is totally fine with me.
Okay. I just like to get it right if I can.
Yeah.
So I met David, about a couple years ago now. And
At least, yeah.
it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And since I've sort of been blown away by how businesslike he approaches his business, right? Like it doesn't approach it like an author. And when I started really getting into direct sales with my site and all that, some stuff just wasn't really working right. And so I said, "Hey, dude, can you help me?" And he was like, "Yeah, come on up." And we were going to do a series of like times that he would like look at my stuff. And actually I approached you and I said, "Ads, like, can you help me with my ads?" And then we got there and it was like, okay, well, hold on. You need to take a step back before we start talking about ads. And in that first session, like a light bulb came on for me. And so we have, an hour-ish today. So the goal is for the light bulb to turn on for you guys. Now, we can't go through all sorts of next steps that I did because it's an hour session. And how the hell would we do that? But hopefully you can get that that light bulb moment. And I'm going to let you give your own credentials, David, but I want everyone, when you're doing this, to just ignore his mustache, because despite the mustache, he knows what he's doing. I promise.
It's going to move in all kinds of weird ways. I tried to curl it for you today and it just would not happen. So we're going to deal with it as is.
You're not allowed to live in Austin without getting wax and curling that shit up.
Oh, I have yet to, okay, I'm going to just go aside. I have yet to muster the courage to borrow my daughter's hair dryer to, because you're apparently supposed to take a shower and then hair dry and then add wax to get the curl. I have not. Anyways, okay. Besides the mustache. Hi, I'm Dave Vergoots. For those of you who don't know me, a lot of you may have, and it's okay. I'm a multi-7-figure author. I'm the CEO and owner of a Epistolary family of brands. We are a story letter writing and selling company. So we send millions of letters, stories told to the mail every year. So,
dude, can I just interrupt you right there? I know that I gave you free reign, but you just said multi-7-figure author. So I'd like to de-bullshitify that, because a lot of people say that. A lot of people are like, I'm a 7-figure author, I'm a 6-figure author.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you're willing in this to like show your dashboard or whatever, but David is legit a 7-figure author, meaning that
I kept more
earns that much. Sure. It keeps that much. Not just like, I got to 7 figures and I spent $900,000 on ads.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a 30% margin across the board. I have a company of 12, 13, 14 people, I think, at this point. We did 2.8 million last year. This year we're on track to do 10 million. So yeah, I'm happy to open my dashboard. Unlike a lot of gurus, I'm happy to show you where my money goes and that sort of thing, because, and not because I want to brag, but because I want you to wholeheartedly believe that the things I'm telling you can lead to those pieces of success. I'm not saying it's a magic key. You just do the things that we did or that I did, and this magically happens. What I'm saying is that it's a pathway forward towards that I think is the most, the one that leads you with the most control and less to guess when it comes down to playing the retailer game. So yes, I did spend a lot of money, but also we made quite a bit back. So that is, but and a lot of people are like, oh, that's story letters. That's not books. Well, I sell 6 figures a year in books anyways. So, and there's a lot better margin on that than what I have right now going for a story letter. So, happy to display any of that who wants to see it. But what I would hope is that you wouldn't need that to understand the value of the things that I'm telling you, because I'm not trying to sell you a magic button. I'm trying to open your eyes to what's possible when you stop thinking like an author, but more focused on as a person and who's running a creative business. So we get a lot of people who say, run your creative business like a business person. Don't think like an author, but nobody really explains what that means. They say you got to have a good book cover and you got to have good ads and you got to know your customer and know the customer speak to them, but nobody really breaks that down. They don't really understand it, and that's okay. And I think we're going to cover a lot of that today. And I think that's a lot what I showed you is what is the customer experiencing when they look at your book cover, and then click on something and to purchase it. But anyways, so besides that, I do have 23 published novels. I'm an independent best-selling author. Been featured on Indie Author Magazine and in Writer's Digest, and I'm a speaker in Author Nation and self-publishing shows. So I've done the gamut, but I didn't come from this industry. I actually came from high-ticket personal training sales. So I wrote my first book and made $250 in my first year, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And that was my key, because someone had given me money for my story that I had written. I sold my entire gym, which I was making a lot of money. I sold my gym on my contracts. I went all in on writing, and that next year I made $3,000. And so that was awesome. And so you can imagine the look on my wife's face when I told her that I sold the gym, and now I made $3,000 where I was making a living before. So
I know that look. I've gotten that look.
Yeah. So I don't come from this industry, but I am so happy to be here, and nobody has, I've never heard of an industry where people just give everything away, right? They tell you the things that you need to do to be successful, and then all you have to do is go implement that. In every other industry, it's cutthroat. It's brutal. They'll walk over each other and destroy each other's reputations just to hurt that other business. And that's not what we're about here. And I love it. And so that's like my thank you to this community. Is like, I love being here for you. And at one point in time, a lot of people helped me. And then they said, and I said, what can I give you for that help? And they said, nothing, just help somebody else down the road. And so that's kind of where, like, when Johnny came to me and we were discussing how he had built things and his frustrations with the model that he was currently working in, because he sold a lot of books. He had sold a lot of things that had made good money. He writes good stories, but he was struggling with the current way of things. And I'm not saying that going direct is the answer to the future, right? It's not going to answer questions that arise. Like, it's like being direct and then going, and then, during the time of like Kindle Unlimited, when that was first unveiled, it's not proof of anything. Like, it's not going to fix those problems as they come around, but it gives you more leverage and mobility, and to have a safer business, right? Because people were selling things on the internet and in person long before Kindle Unlimited and Amazon decided that they want to step in the middle and charge you 30% for it. So, like, just keep that in mind, that the industry will continue to change, but I believe that this is the safest way to move forward with that change.
Yeah. So let me put this all in a box for everybody as we begin, is that we are going to be talking pretty much exclusively about direct sales. And I just want to warn everybody. So first of all, I told David to pull no punches. He's very direct. And if something sucks, he'll be like, dude, this fucking sucks. So we're gonna have all of that. And I also, in the spirit of non-bullshitting and being real, I do want to let you guys know that we are launching a thing that has that step-by-step that we can't cover in this. And I'm going to talk about it at the end. So if it bugs you enough that there is an offer at the end that you don't want the light bulb moment that comes before and all the psychology stuff, which we're going to deliver, then you should go. I hopefully you know me enough by now to know that I can't just do like a sales pitch, like fuck that. This is a self-contained thing, but we're going to tell you at the end, hey, if you do want step-by-step, we're going to talk about it. And you can bail at that point if you're so bothered by it. But just know that's coming. I don't want anybody surprised by that. Okay, so let's talk about like the artist and author. Like, why is this the missing piece of the artist and author? I have a few answers to that, but you know all about my shit. Tell me, why is this like the best way for an artist and author to sell books as opposed to like the ways that most authors are doing?
Yeah. So when you list a book on Amazon, this is some tough truth. You list a book on Amazon, you are essentially a loss leader for Amazon. You are what they give away for free for exchange for the customer information. The things that we sell are low ticket items. There's a reason that Amazon sells you books at cost, because number one, they want the data. Number two, they want the traffic, right? The traffic that you bring as an author to them. Same thing with ebooks, right? There is no delivery cost in that. There's no overhead in that at all. There's minimal, but they charge you for it, right? They charge you for the upload. It's like 5 cents or whatever for the data fee or whatever it is, on, and then your essential 30%. So they are making a margin, what would be your margin, in exchange for you to not own the customer journey. And so when it comes down to being an artisan author, something that is not replaceable, something that is self-contained, something that is built on a creative business, the only way to do that is if you are in full control of the relationship with the customer. And so that's what we're trying to sell you here, is the idea that you should own the relationship with the customer. And so I know there's going to be some people who are like, David, but they signed up for my newsletter through the lead magnet in the back of my book. And I said, cool, what's their address? And if you can't tell me that, if you can't say how many purchases have they made from you, because if you send them to Amazon, Amazon takes that data and they run with it and they say thank you, and they sell dog food on the back of your book, right? So they upsell somebody to the dog food they need in the step below and in the checkout. We've seen it. Like, so the tough part about this is that Amazon does not make it so we can own the customer journey. So we try to do so piece by piece, right? So we get the email address. That's kind of like a beg, borrow, steal thing. It's not really a guaranteed way to open the line of communication with the customer. So, and the reason this is important is because if you are, and if you gather that customer's information and you know everything about them in a non-creepy fucking way, if you know everything about them, you can better address them, the concerns and the things that you're supposed to give them, the value that you're supposed to give them, as a person with a good or service. And what I mean by that is, yes, we are authors. Yes, we sell things to people. We have a good, and there are people out there with a problem that we're trying to address their problem with our good. And so jumping into that position, what Amazon has done, being in the middle, it's just a matter of being able to better discuss with the customer, better give them the solutions to their problems. So in this case, with fiction, an author or readers out there and they're browsing Amazon, they're looking for their next read, right? They have a problem. I just finished my book. Maybe it was this book that I love, and I want another one in that style. And so they go to where they know they can find books. And a long time ago, it was the best way because it made, uploading ebooks very easy to purchase and to find ebooks. So it made browsing ebooks easy, and it made purchasing ebooks easy, and made uploading them easy. Now the world has kind of opened up where that technology already exists. And then all we have to do is replace those functions that Amazon did for us. And we own the customer journey. So now instead of upselling them to dog food, you can upsell them to book 2 and 3. And now on top of that, you own the customer journey. They're used to buying from you. They're going to support small creators anyways, and you're going to get back your 30% margin. Is it harder? Sure. Does it require we replace all the functions that Amazon is already doing for us? Sure. Absolutely. And you should. Because here's the thing, when you start gathering that customer data, you understand why they buy. You understand what your read through is because you can see how many orders they purchased. Like that's the beauty. Like if anybody's had to go and guess their read through, this solves that. You can click on a customer's name and see how many orders they have. Like I can tell when somebody's moving through one of my book series and how long it takes them because I can click on the order and I can see when it was placed, and I can see, oh, it took them 3 weeks to finish this book, and they came right back and bought the second one. That's good, solid numbers.
Let me do this thing that I do where I interrupt because I'm like, when you're talking,
yes, please.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of the audience. Like I try to function as an audience surrogate. And by the way, I'm a student here. Like I non-facetiously referred to David as my business mentor. Like, yes, we're friends, but I defer to him. And I've been in this business for a long time, and I've talked to authors a lot, and I know a lot about authoring and the author business, and I'm business savvy, and my mother was in marketing and communications, so I know all of this. And yet still, when I sat down with David, I was like, dude, why the heck? Like, that's why I said it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing that I wasn't doing this right, because I know it better. So if you're sitting here and you're listening, like you're like, oh, I understand. Like you go into Shopify, you click on the order, it'll tell you like, this isn't anything new. And that part is not new. But the particular like tech stack and the not just the tech stack, but also the way that customer journey is like curated was new. It was the recombination. So just to like skip to the punchline, we're talking basically 3 components: Shopify, Klaviyo, not another mailing list service, Klaviyo, and meta ads or any other advertisement, but meta ads. And we're not talking about just Amazon. We're talking about building an independent entity. So that also refers to like, and I have great friends at all of these places. Like that refers to anything that you're putting out wide, you should be there. But if you don't have this piece, and if you haven't thought it through as intelligently and conversion mindedly as Amazon does, when they split test things and they figure out exactly what works, you're missing the boat. And again, I set up a store, was like, dude, I know this. I set everything up. And then I took it to you and you were like, dude, this fucking sucks. You didn't say that, but you did. Well, I mean, do you want to talk about like some of the things specifically? Go ahead and roast me.
Yeah, no, I thought about it. So, the site. So, what I noticed right away is that Johnny created what I would call a pretty site. It was pretty. It functioned. It looked nice. But what it didn't do was remove friction for the buyer. So, Amazon's pages are incredible pages because you know that hundreds of thousands upon millions of impressions have run through those pages, and yet they still don't change to the design. So that should tell you something. Buyers have become accustomed to the way the page is designed, and they will make a decision within roughly 3 seconds of arriving on your website. And so when I looked at Johnny's site, I noticed that the first thing was I couldn't really tell what I was looking at. It wasn't clear to me that you were selling books. But if I go to a product page, there's a book in front of me and a buy button to the right. So I wasn't sure. We had maybe a couple pictures. We had kind of Johnny's hand
Well,
holding
and how
an
many clicks did it take to get to that book page? The specific product you wanted,
7.
a paperback of a given book.
7, I think, like from the home page to the navigation, from the navigation down to the book series, from the book series down to the first book, and then I had to parse through to figure out if it was the first book or if it was a bundle. I really couldn't figure it out.
Was
I
it
was
an
looking.
ebook or a paperback?
I don't
And
know.
how were they related to one another? How were they in series?
Yeah, and that was the other interesting thing is that we had one landing page and we had an ebook, a print book, and an audiobook, and they all looked the same. The same landing page for all three of them. And they were basically variants of each other. Which is great for Amazon because Amazon will push people towards the buttons that they need to click on to make the purchase. But when it comes down to us as selling and selling things to people, any kind of confusion or any kind of opportunity for the person to click away and get bored, attention is very, very expensive and it's very, very short. So any opportunity for them to click away, we're adding friction, we're not removing it. So if you're going to sell ebooks, you need to sell ebooks. If you're going to sell print, and make that very obvious to the person because customers, I love customers, but they need to be held by the hand. They need to be shown the way. And a lot of customers, they're open-minded when they go to approach making a purchase. Then they go through a customer journey in their head. The same process of picking up a pack of gum is the same one that they're going to use to purchase your book. Is the same one they're going to use to purchase a Tesla. It's exactly the same. So removing any opportunity for friction just makes it flow through that customer journey just a little bit better and breaks down barriers to them saying no. So what I noticed really quickly was the page itself was confusing, right? It wasn't clearly
And there's
laid
a
out.
term, you confuse, you lose.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
don't understate that. Like if it is confusing, and I mean like I want to push the button here, but it's here, it's 2 inches away, that's confusing. Like it's very, very easy to confuse people, and then they're like, shit, I'm out of here.
Yeah. And the golden nugget about this, and this is really kind of fun. I'm not telling you that I have all the secrets for laying out a landing page. I say, why go and reinvent the wheel? Amazon has an amazing landing page. Start there. Mirror their landing page. I don't mean rip it off in colors and everything like that. It should match you and your brand, but start there. And what I did with Johnny's page is I immediately took that and I said, okay, let's make it mirror Amazon as much as possible. You're used to selling books on Amazon. That's where people would go to buy your stuff before. It makes sense for your current audience to make it look like as close as the layout to Amazon, because also that builds trust with people. They've come to trust that kind of style of landing page. And that's the thing that you want to do is build trust in an instant. And any opportunity to do so on that page, you've got 3 seconds before they lose it. And that's something to keep in mind. And that's an expensive click. So you're paying $1 to $1.50 to $2 for a click, and they're going to leave in 3 seconds. That gets expensive really quickly. So imagine that you only have those few seconds and you only have about a third of a scroll of a page before they vacate. And so you got to build in safeguards and trusts with the limited space that you have, enough to capture their attention so that you can build trust along the way. And what I mean by that is things like social reviews. Your top selling review should be somewhere on that page. Your headline that we know through meta ads should be somewhere on that page. Your next picture should probably be, when they scroll over the first picture, they get a picture of the thing that interests them. And then maybe the second one is a picture of you holding the book. So you can see it's a physical book and not an ebook that they're buying. So there's no confusion there. It really goes to building a level of trust with people in a matter of seconds. And this idea that people are not adverse to buying from you versus buying from Amazon. They don't care. They're adverse to the idea that they won't get their stuff that they ordered. And that's something that's really interesting. And Johnny, you could probably talk about this, but is that your experience in selling in person? Notice in person, the barriers are way easier.
Well, in
And I think we
person
plan to
is,
talk about
and
it.
I actually do want to talk about this a little bit later if we have time, is that in person and direct selling of any sort, they work very, very well together, because what you notice when you're live selling is you start to realize, you start to see which pitches resonate, which things make people lean in, which things make people zone out. I've started adding things to my live sales like upsells. Like we do upsells on Shopify all the time, but once we started doing this, so it's a virtuous loop. I would sell in person, and then I would say, okay, the Dark Tower on LSD is what makes people respond to Unicorn Western. So that needs to be super prominent. I need to lean into that, and with my ads. But then what's interesting is once I started thinking along those lines, and I want to step back in just a second and really get like the big picture, what authors do wrong, because this is the epiphany. But this was once that started to shift and I realized, oh, I'm thinking about this wrong. Then I circled back to the live events and said, okay, if I'm doing an upsell, if I'm like, okay, you bought this book, you've gotten to the checkout page, with one click, you can add this other thing for like 30% off, but only right now. If that is a standard practice, I mean, Amazon does it. Do you want this to go with your order? Then why was I not doing that in person? And so I had these related books. We called them book zeros. So if there was a book 1, 2, and 3 in a series, there was usually a short intro that we used to use as a feeder. And so I had those printed in paperbacks and started offering them every time somebody would buy Dead City. I would say, okay, so I always offer Dead Zero for 50% off, which, by the way, if you run the numbers, is still a meaningful profit to me. Do you want to get it? And surprise, surprise, about half of the people are like, sure, because they're already in a buying mode. So that sort of thing was something that lit up, and I was like, it was weird. It was there, but I didn't see it, and I wasn't using it. So, like, what else would you say about that big picture of just how author psychology is wrong in terms of selling books?
Yeah. So the process people normally go through is they try to mirror Amazon as closely as possible. Right. And Amazon's model, I mean, if you were another Amazon, sure, you could charge $12, $13, $14.99 for a book. And I think pricing is such a huge deal in this. I went on a rant, I think, with you yesterday about pricing and how upsetting it was to hear this. So, for example, the majority of my books are priced at $6.99 for the smallest one for ebooks, and the most expensive one in new release is $8.99. And the reason I say that is because I believe that the value is there. And right now, authors, the current model in direct sales is to take like a bundle of 6, 8, 12 books and sell them at a price at about $26, $27, $28, whatever. And the reason we do that is because we look at it this way. Well, I've got these 12 books. I know that there's a slight payment processing fee of 2.9% plus 30 cents, which is pretty much average for Shopify, Stripe, PayPal, whatever you use. That's about average for a credit card. So we're missing a couple bucks there. And then that leaves me with $5 or $6 because it costs on average about $15 to $20 to acquire a customer across all e-commerce. This is all. So there's a bottom end of the spectrum and there's a high end of the spectrum.
So that's like your ad spend on average to get that customer. Is that correct?
Yes. So the number of times they have to be shown an ad, or the number of impressions, or the costs essentially with showing your ad in a different way or a touch point for that person to get them to purchase is on average costing you $15 to $20. And so as a direct sales person, we say, look at this bundle. I sold 1,000 of these units, but I only took $500 home because you're only making a few dollars on each sale. And so, but also I think that's the wrong type of customer. I don't care if that scales to infinity, because I think that's the wrong type of customer too, because we've basically taken 6 books that we spent thousands of dollars on and thousands of hours on, and we valued them at $1, $2 a piece for an ebook. And I know you're going to look at me, and there's going to be people look at me and say, David, but that's the price of ebooks. I said, who the fuck said so? Stephen King charged $14.99 for his newest release, an ebook. It was the same price as the paperback. And I was like, why? Why can Stephen King charge this? And when I asked around, I asked a lot of my author friends and some of the people through some of the circles I roll in. And what they said was, because they're trad. What? So we're making the excuses for why we're going to get margined out by these people who are, I don't care if they have to recoup their costs across all the different people who want a piece of that ebook that had to be involved in the process. I don't care. Why can't
somebody's
I keep that
still
margin?
willing to pay for it, regardless of what their economics are?
Exactly.
And
Somebody's willing to pay for it.
let me just jump in with one more thing, because I can see people saying, but that's Stephen King. And I can also
Yes.
see people saying, this is much more, this is closer to home, and I can answer this. Is some of you are going to think, but it's Johnny. I mean, or if you know David, but it's David. But both of us will go out and live sell books to cold traffic, people who have no idea who we are. And I know, and this is why live sales and online, like direct sales, work so well together, is because in addition to all the tangible things, the things that you actually learn about what works and what doesn't work, you also gain confidence that, oh, I can sell to cold traffic. And if I don't have it right here, but I sell a paperback that's like 400 pages for $25. And a lot of people, chicken out, and they're like, well, that's way too expensive. I sell that all day long in person, which makes me think, oh, I can sell it all day long to direct traffic too, because it's no different. You're just using the same triggers, but we don't think that way.
Right. So so it's a really good point, is that one live sale selling a book to a person in person, how does that differ from selling on your store? And I say they're not at all different. They're exactly the same. So when you go to like a market and you show somebody and they walk up and they show interest in your booth, right? They walk by your booth and they look at it for a second. That's the exact same thing as an impression online. Exactly the same. You made an impression on them and you got their attention. It was shown to them. Now, when they stop and they pick up the book, that's essentially a click. They've now clicked.
So let me frame this, just because this is great. This is great. So if any of you played with ads, you have a few metrics. You have impressions, which is how often Meta shows your ad to somebody. Then you have clicks, which is obviously how many people click on the ad. And then the third and final step is conversion. How many people who clicked bought the ad? And then in between is the stop to scroll. So that's like, if in Meta knows all this, like I've learned a shit ton about Meta ads recently, is and how the AI thinks, is that when you have an impression, if somebody pauses, slows down, they look at your ad, that's stopping the scroll. So now that everybody knows like what that is, you can, go ahead and reiterate that point.
Yeah. So, great points. There's a few other metrics in there, like click through rate, and they all have their own meaning. And that's the cool part about the course, is that we will walk through every single step of this and make it make sense to you, and make you understand what the Amazon is essentially doing for you on the back end of things, and how we just replace the system and we do it for ourselves. So like we'll cover all that. That's the demystification of all this crap, is that we're going to cover the ideas here and then we'll cover the implementation later.
And we are going to open for questions at the end. I see a few over here. So like Claire in particular, I'll answer that question at the end. So don't worry, we'll handle all your questions.
Yeah. So somebody's walking by your booth, they see the thing that you have for sale and they stop. That's an impression. And then they click on it and you hand them the book. And that is essentially they're browsing now. They open the pages, right? They're clicking through, they're reading a sample now. And now they flipped it over. They're checking the pictures that are available on the website. And then they look at you and they say, how much is this? Well, that's the display price that's on your website. And you're going to tell them $24.99.
Or they don't ask at all. Does that happen to you?
Or they don't ask at all. Oh, yeah, all the time. So a lot of times I'll change pricing depending on the person. And so it's a fun experiment. You can look at them and say $24.99 or $23.99 or $23.47. Give them a weird price. And the answer is resoundingly the same. If they have it in their hands, they're asking for a price, the likelihood of them price shopping your books is really is really not relevant. And the reason I say that is because they're just trying to figure out if they have $20 in their pocket. That's it. Or if they're on edge, they might be looking for that opportunity to try something new and they only have like a $10 book budget, or they only came to the market with $20. It just depends. But if somebody looks at you and they say, I'll take it, and they don't even ask the price, you should be asking yourself, how the hell did that just happen? They didn't ask the price. You're right. Because you don't need a price for someone who's already decided they wanted something. And this is the frustration. This is the frustrating part. I remember I was in line at Starbucks, and I was going through with a buddy. We're going back and forth on why the 99-cent deal is bullshit and stupid, and how it doesn't lead to success, and how it doesn't lead to money, and how it doesn't lead to repeat customers. And so, I was standing in line and I was looking at and I was ordering. I was kind of on autopilot. I was just kind of ordering and I was scrolling through emails, and I click on a BookBub featured deal for a free book. And I'm like, sweet. So I open the deal. I'm scrolling through. I stop at one that was interesting to me, and I order my $8 Starbucks without even thinking. I swipe the card. Thank you, sir. And I walk over and I look at the book and I decline it. It was free and I didn't want it. That should open your eyes. People will pay $8 for a Starbucks drink and say no to your free book. So
Let me tell a
should not.
pricing strategy. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No, I
step
was just
on
going
you.
to say price is not a good point to compete on. We've raced to the bottom for many years. And I'm telling you, the day I made more money, the day I went from 25 grand to 50 grand a year in indie authors, when I raised my prices to basically trad rates. Because if trad can put out a book from these authors that have a pro edit on it, if they can have a pro cover designer on it and a pro formatting, and they can put on a pro looking website, why should I not be able to charge the same exact price as they do? Because I'm not going to make the excuse because trad. I'm going to let them deal with each other. They can haggle with price on each other. They can play those games. I don't want to play that game because I know the value of my books. My books are no less valuable than a trad book.
Here's another way that authors, I think, are doing everything wrong, and including me, by the way. Like, I'm not sparing myself from this. Is that we kind of, often without even realizing that we're doing it, we believe that we know what readers, we believe we know reader behavior. And that's based largely on what we've heard in the sphere. And like, I've put out a lot of that stuff in the sphere. There's nothing wrong with that, but like, or Amazon buyers. But when it kind of clicks that like the average person knows nothing about indie publishing, may not even know that there's a difference between indie and trad, doesn't bargain shop on Amazon, maybe, doesn't ever look at books on Amazon. Maybe they always go to Barnes and Noble, and the world is a very big place, and you can reach those people through something like meta ads or whatever else. That's a light bulb moment. It's like, oh, there are those people out there willing to do that. Now, let me tell you a story. Here's my pricing story. So I was advertising the Unicorn Western full saga paperback. And I'm going to put a pin in this because I want you to talk about why physical books, because I'm sold. I only want to sell physical books. I'm happy when people buy ebooks. I love my ebook buyers, but I want to sell physical books. But anyway, so when I started advertising the Unicorn Western full omnibus, it's this big, thick 768-page book. It sells for, I think I sell it for $40 on my site, $39, and people buy it like all day, especially when I was running those ads. But here's the funny part. So people were going to Amazon. Actually, I did this with the Fat Vampire Omnibus, same principle though. So the Fat Vampire Omnibus was selling for $45 on my site. And then when the ads were running, people were fucking going to Amazon and buying it. It's like basically unlisted. I've never advertised it. I only put it up there so I could order author copies. That's the only reason it's on Amazon. So they were going there, and then Amazon takes this big cut, and I was getting like, instead of getting with a sale of $45, I was getting 43 of that, and it was offset by ad costs. Instead of that, I was getting like 20 or something like that. And so I was pissed off. Not that people were buying it, that's great, but like, oh, will you please buy it? Like, I'm paying ad rates. So I went to Amazon and I raised the price by $5. So now it's $50. And then people kept buying it. So I raised it to $55. And when people kept buying it, even at $55, I said, okay, that's good enough. That's close enough to what I'm getting. I'm just going to leave it alone. Now, here's the second part of the story. Back to Unicorn Western. That one has a popular, like widely indexed ebook omnibus on Amazon. So what I did when I realized people were going to Amazon and buying the ebook for $10 and I was getting 7 instead of the like 40 I wanted, I removed the ebook omnibus from Amazon. I left it on everywhere else because you can raise it above $10 without being penalized. Raised it to $20 everywhere else, including on my site. People still buy it at $20. Price doesn't matter if you have the right traffic.
Yeah. So if you're and this is a good point to kind of discuss what readers are looking for. And this is my expression. This is my saying. I've coined it, and a lot of people hate me for saying it, but I'm going to say it. People will pay anything to feel something. Anything. And that's an important. That metric cannot be ignored. So what I mean by that is when I was at I was sitting outside. My daughter came to me and she said, Dad, I want to go to a Taylor Swift concert. And I said, not without me. And she goes, the tickets are $500. And I was like, oh my God, 500. And then I looked and I looked up the website and it wasn't 500. That was 500 for nosebleed seats where you couldn't even see Tay-Tay. Like that was like way out there. That was like you could hear her echoes. That wasn't even like in the ballpark. To really get up close to where it mattered, it was like $2,500 a ticket. And I said, wait. Why can Taylor Swift charge $500 just to get within spitting distance or just to get within the same airspace as her? Why can she charge that? And it's not because she's conveyed her value to people like that. It's because they know there's an expectation that when they consume the thing that she has, when they go to be with the crowd, when they listen to her music, when they buy her merchandise, when they interact with her in any way, there's something they're supposed to feel inside. They're not going to remember the person next to them at this event. What they're going to remember, though, is the way the event made them feel, and they will hold that with them forever. And so people will pay those prices for that feeling. And if it's not live events, I don't know what better medium there is out there that leaves a lasting impression on somebody than a damn book. Because you're going to spend 8 to 10 to 12 hours with this thing, and you're going to remember it. You're going to remember the first book that made you feel something, because you always tell all your friends about this book that you read, and you've got a paperback copy, and you try to tempt yourself not to read it every single year on repeat because you have a bunch of TBR lists that you're in. You're just hoping that at some point some other book will make you feel that way. That is what
artists and authors have an advantage on that, because we can value add to that emotional experience.
Yeah, you are trying to sell that experience. The medium by which they're going to get the experience is through the book. That's where the power comes in. And so people will pay anything to feel something. Nobody's going to look at your book, decide they want it, and be like, wow, it's $8.99. I wanted this. If it was priced $7.99, I would have bought it. But I don't want it now. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's price hunting these things. There's an entire industry out there. It's an amazing industry. You've already talked about it, Johnny, where people will go into a brick and mortar store. They will browse books that are available anywhere else at a discount or on sale or in a different version, like an ebook or an audiobook. They will go in person and they will pay full price for a book and pay $9 for a coffee when they could have spent $12 online. They will literally go and do that. It's amazing. It's called Barnes & Noble. It's great.
Maybe you guys have heard of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. They will pay full price. There's an entire business around this, a multi-billion-dollar empire around physical books. And that's not to say that physical books are the solution. It means that there's enough of a market out there that this whole my readers aren't buying direct. My readers are all on KU. They're all on KU. Really? All of them?
Maybe those aren't your readers.
Maybe they aren't your readers.
Let's talk about that physical book thing, though, because you and I both have a strong preference for physical books. I just learned it. And most indie authors default to thinking ebooks and like, maybe I'll sell a few paperbacks. Why are physical books so much better?
Yeah. So physical books, they are two things. So one is the tangible, one's the intangible. The intangible is that the value of a print book is higher. Right? The value is higher because you're getting something in your hands. You're getting something delivered to you. You're getting something that you can flip through the pages, you can smell it, you can touch it. An ebook is very detached, right? It's more like you're buying convenience versus buying the experience of opening a paperback. And that's important because those paperbacks also, or print or whatever, hardback, however you decide to deliver, those books have a higher likelihood of retaining customer interest because it's going to show up again on their shelf. They're going to have it on their shelf. They're going to give it to a friend. That book is out in the world and it's going to continue to circulate. It also has inherently higher value than an ebook. We do price ebooks competitively at $8.99 a piece. I still want to be able to make money off of an ebook. And so, yeah, they are priced at something like $8.99. But you don't have to convey that value with a print product. You don't have to convey that value with a product that you hand to somebody that has your signature on it. That value is already there because it's in the physical. It's something that they can hold, and you don't have to explain it to anybody. They get the value.
Yeah, let me do a paradigm thing on this because a lot of people don't get this, and it's very, very straightforward. So like everybody's going to get this. So this is pretty killer. Okay. This sells like nobody's business. And it's largely because of the cover. People are like, thriller, that cover looks cool. Okay. So it's reasonably thick. It's 400 and some pages. This book, if I were to sell it for, let's be crazy. Let's say that I'm charging $7 for the ebook, which for many indie authors is ridiculous. Oh my God, you're going to charge $7 for an ebook. But then people say, well, that's all profit. Well, no, because if you sell it on Amazon, you're losing 30%. Okay, well, sell it on your site. Now it's all profit. I mean, if you remove the fees, like whatever, sure, it's all profit. So let's just round up and say you get $7 for the ebook. Now, I sell this book in physical format for $25. It costs me with shipping from my printer let's be generous again. Let's say 7. It's actually less than that. Okay, so what's 25 minus 7? That's 18. I would much rather make $18 than make $7. It's just very simple, but we all think, oh, the margin is low on print books. Yeah, it can be if you sell it through Amazon and you price it too cheap, or you sell it through Ingram only and you get $1 per book. But if you sell a physical book in person, you're going to make way more money. It's the absolute number, not, the percentage is high. It's the absolute number. What do you get?
Yeah, and so the print book itself too, it's kind of in this amazing position where if you think about how many readers you would have to find. So let's say you have something, you write something obscure and weird like nobody reads, like Unicorn Westerns or like Fat Vampire. Let's assume let's assume you write crazy shit. And so this is something that Johnny came to me. He's like, David, I write crazy shit. I can't fit in a niche. How do I market this? And I'm like, you just told me how you're going to market it. You don't fit in a niche. That is the easiest way to stop and get somebody's attention if you're doing weird shit. Notice on, like, if you go through, scroll one of these TikTok sites or whatever, if you scroll through it, the people that gather your attention are the people who are doing wacky and crazy things, right? And they hold your attention because of it. And it's not because they're doing anything outlandish. It's not because they don't trust you. It's the attention is towards the thing that makes you different. And that is a unique selling point for you. And so here's, let's say the reader's expectation is thrills, right? We want to be thrilled by the book that we read, right? And we know that all the thrillers I've read lately, I've been reading the same thing. Or maybe I've been reading the same thing and I'm looking for something different. And all I want is the same thing. But what I'm not really looking for is the same story. Otherwise, I just read the same story. I'm looking for the same feeling. So that feeling is thrilling. So if we look and so I'm a thriller reader, and I'm going to walk past Johnny's store, or I get an ad and there's an impression for a thrilling book, right? It's a thrilling book, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Like, I just read a thriller. Let me keep on going. Or he said Unicorn Western, a thrilling adventure, and you're like, wait, what? That's a stop the scroll moment, and that's a good moment to have, because I'm not saying you shouldn't write to market, right? I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. What I'm saying, though, is that if you have these selling points in your book, the things that make it sell, that describe it very quickly, that help to avoid confusion with the reader in an instant, that tell them exactly what they're going to get, that is a moment, that is something you should capitalize on and sell them on. So in this case, Johnny's ads should say Unicorn Western, because I said this would be the easiest market to find. It's the easiest way to get data, because you know exactly who your audience is, because they're the only people out there looking for Unicorn Westerns or who showed interest in Unicorn Westerns.
And if you're saying, well, how do I find those people? I mean, there are many ways, but Meta AI, so Facebook, which also serves to Instagram, is very good. Like, if you haven't done Meta ads recently, it's almost entirely AI. Manual targeting is usually a mistake. Like, you need to give it enough time to experiment and figure things out. And if you do it right, and it's easy to do wrong, like this is stuff that we'll talk about too, and the thing I was going to tell you about at the end. But if you signal correctly, if you know how to describe your book, if you use good images, and you think this is what you can learn from the live sales, the Meta AI will find people who want a fucking Unicorn Western. Like, they will find those people for you. And I'm oversimplifying, but you just need to put the right offer in front of the right people in the right way. That's all there is to book selling. So because time is clicking along, I want to throw something at you, David.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook ads don't work for authors. What do you say to that?
Give up and quit. Go back to KU. No, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. So let me kind of describe what the current model is that some major course sellers and things like that, gurus in the industry, tell you to do. They say, enroll your books in KU, have a good reader magnet. You might be able to capture up an email off of your sales. You don't get it off of impressions. So like, you have to make X amount of sales to grow your newsletter, but you can't grow your newsletter without making sales. So it's like, what? Like, it's just this rat race that doesn't make any sense. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your book on Amazon, and you're going to run ads to it. And Amazon's going to say, thank you for the dollar clicks. And then you might get a $2.99 sale on that. And of that $2.99, you're going to keep 70%, more or less. Then you're going to hope and pray they come back for book 2, and hope that Amazon's algorithm rains things down on you. In the meantime, you're pumping more and more and more money into ads, and you have no idea if those impressions are actually converting, because number one, Meta's attribution sucks. It doesn't work. Not Meta, I'm sorry. Amazon's attribution sucks. It doesn't work. It's a guessing game, and it still is guessing. If Amazon really wanted to tell you how many people were purchasing your book from your ads, they would, and they'd let you have it. But they don't. They hide that data because they want you to keep sending them customers. So that's the first part. That's what it looks like now. And you hope and pray that somebody gets your book on KU and you get paid for some page reads. And you hope and pray they click the back end link, go to the next book, and keep going. And you hope and you pray and you hope and you pray. That's the current model. With the model as I'm suggesting it is you are going to test good traffic that is being targeted by an AI that is smarter than you, an algorithm. I don't know, kind of like Amazon's algorithm. Facebook has its own algorithm. Google has its own algorithm. And it is going to do your part, do the hard part for you, which is find the people who want a unicorn Western. And then it's going to display your offer in front of them. And it's going to display it in varying ways. It's going to display it as a video or with a different headline or with a different set of a different description or with a shop now link versus a learn more link. Like it, you still have to put a good offer in front of people in the way they're going to respond most. And so that's the first interface, right? Is that we have to get over the idea that you cannot sell books via meta ads on your direct store. And the answer to that is bullshit. And the reason I say that is because I've sold over 100,000 this year and I write horror. It is a 10% of like the reading market overall. And so if there's anything to be said about that, it's that it doesn't take a whole lot of customers to make a good living off of a simple model, right?
Especially as an artist and author.
Yeah. One offer for a good thing to the right audience. That is all you need. And the difference is that there's no hope and praying involved, right? Meta is going to show you the details that you need to make accurate decisions. For example, if your impressions are very, very high, but your click-through rate is low, it's showing your ad to a lot of people, but maybe your imagery is not there, right? And so they're not even making it to your landing page. So that doesn't even address the landing page side of things. That doesn't address the product page. That's a whole nother ballgame. We have to get them off of the ad, deplatform them, put them onto our website. And Meta, Google, these other advertising sectors, we are the person that they are serving. We are the customer to them. It is in their best interest to help us better spend our money on the platform to where we are happy so that we continue to spend more money on the platform. Amazon's interest is Amazon. They'll take any money you give them, right? Amazon, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Amazon's primary means of making money is from their data services. It's AWS. That's where most of Amazon makes their money right now. When you list your book on Amazon, you are not a publisher. You are a customer. Just keep that in mind. And so
double down on that. Like people are like, oh, Facebook's interest is in making money, so they don't want to deliver for you. Like bullshit. Why? Because if my ads are like murdering it, I am going to throw all the money at them. The best way for Facebook to get money from me is to help me. The most short-sighted way is to screw me over and just try to take my money. Like, oh, look, I got $50. The thing is, so first of all, I don't want anyone to just like go out and run a bunch of meta ads after listening to this because, oh my God, you can lose your ass on meta ads. Yep. It is hard and you need to kind of have nerves of steel. Number two, we haven't, because we don't have time for it here. The Klaviyo is a really big part of this. If you're thinking that like ConvertKit or God forbid MailChimp is the same as Klaviyo and that Klaviyo is just an email provider, it so is not. It's like a bolt-on to Shopify that allows you to, it has all these flows that like recover that person who came to my site and was already logged into the shop network, didn't even do anything, but they were there, but they abandoned browse. Okay, I can follow up with them now. I can send them a sequence. Or they bought something and it knows exactly when they were on the site and all this stuff. But then the biggest component, and I want to see what you have to say about this, because I do want to do Q&A and all that. So I want to make sure we get through this, is you need to think a little bigger. And most authors are not good at thinking bigger. We just had a conversation this morning. I was trying an ad at $10 a day just to see if it would get clicks. And I was talking to David about it. And I said, I don't think I'm giving it enough room to make decisions. I'm going to bump it to 50. David's like, oh yeah, if you got it to spend. I said, it doesn't matter, because that used to scare me. The idea of doing $50 a day on an ad used to scare me, but now I know that I can recoup that and that is a necessary expense. I just got a shipment of books that cost me $600. I don't think twice about that because I grew into it and I know. I'm signed up for Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. It was a $1,200 table. Like, I just know that these are the costs of doing business, and it wasn't an easy mental shift to do, but it was necessary. And that is another thing, is so many authors are afraid of, like, back in the day when BookBub was like this nuclear bomb you could set loose on your books, and people would be like, well, I have to pay $80. Like, screw you, you have to pay $80. Like, that's the best money you could possibly spend.
Yeah. So the I think the point that you're getting to, and this is the most important part, is that what you're paying for when you inject ads, right? When you inject cash into ads and you have a system in place, you've got Shopify on the front end, you've got Klaviyo on the back end saying, hey, did you forget this? Hey, are you interested in this? And then you've got the meta ads, which drive the attention. You have replaced the entire Amazon ecosystem. They are sending readers or sending people emails saying, hey, do you want to check out? Hey, 3 hours left until we can not deliver this in 2 hours or whatever. We're replacing that entire system. And so when you realize that you're investing in an ecosystem that you are building that gives you the same knowledge, data, and power as Amazon, that is an incredible place to be. That means that that you are building an asset. That data that you have collected about your reader, you didn't give it to Amazon. They gave it to you. That's an important part to remember, is that the reader agreed and gave you their information. Is up to you on how you utilize that information to better your author career.
It's not like you're going to pick up the phone and call them, though, right, David?
I mean, I do. Yeah. So good point. So I call my readers. I'll pick 3 to 5 readers per month, and I'll just give them a call because they've opted in and said that they don't mind hearing from me. They've said, yes, you may have my phone number. And I tell people, I'll call you. Sometimes it's their birthday. I'll call them. Now, often I'll pick people who have paid a lot. I just had a lady yesterday. This is, and if anyone wants to see it, I'll fucking prove it. She bought every single book in every single format that I own. She spent $600 on one sale from me. That is an incredible place to be. That means that reader looked at what I had to offer and said, this is my type of author. It doesn't matter if she said, oh, like he's a veteran, so I bought it because he's a veteran. She found something about me that she aligned herself with and said, I want that. And that's important because it doesn't take a whole lot of those people. People have to really think about this. If you are making $1 in page reads per customer, you need 6 times less or 6 times more to get one ebook's value from selling on your website. So think about that. You have to find 6 times the customers on KU versus 1 on your own store. So if your book's price is $6.99, you sell it for $6.99. You have to find 1 customer at $6.99, or you can go find 7 on Amazon, or hope that Amazon brings you 7. That is an incredible number to keep in mind. So,
yeah, some people are mentioning in the chat, like, there's too much to figure out and learn. And like what I said in the Artisan Author still holds true. Like there are very few specific answers. It does depend. You have to make your own way. However, if you're going to go into direct sales, I mean, David would probably just tell you, like, just do it this way. I would say a very, very, very strong recommendation. So let me just give you an idea of why I think that the trio of you setting up Shopify and Klaviyo correctly, which is a thing, and then running meta ads to that, why I think that this is so valuable. This is just one example. So a lot of people don't know this. Shopify is the biggest like store network out there. It's the what's the word for that? Like, it's just the biggest e-commerce platform.
Yeah, so it's 10% of the internet.
Okay,
page buys from Shopify, and if 10% of all sales are Shopify, that is insane.
Network is called the Shop Network. And so if somebody is used to buying from other Shopify sites, they stay logged in while they're browsing, they come to your site, all their data is automatically available. Now, until they make a purchase, it's not like you're getting their personal information or whatever, but like it knows enough to follow up with them, that sort of thing. So I know a lot of people will throw together other solutions, often because it's cheaper. And believe me, I sympathize, because when you're not making money, the idea of spending on Shopify and Klaviyo is daunting. Like, I get that. That's a thing and you got to be careful. But I would not go anywhere else because the infrastructure is built for it. Like, I can do things with that combination that I can't do with anything else.
Yeah, Klaviyo is the king of ecom right now when it comes down to emails being sent to your readers. And so when we talk about setting up like Klaviyo correctly, what we don't mean is just a couple of boxes you have to check. There are certain functions within Klaviyo that it provides to you that other ecom email services are trying to do. But Klaviyo is the clearest and the best at it and gives the best data and has the best integration. So right now, until there's another solution, I tell everybody to go Klaviyo. If there's a better solution out there, I'm jumping. I'm on board. I'll take it. If it's cheaper and better, I'll do it. But there's nothing. And so that's the point. Klaviyo's carved out this niche, and until something better replaces it, we stick with Klaviyo. So it's about what works right now. We need to be ready to pivot. That's what, the amazing part about being indie is that we can pivot quickly. So Klaviyo ends up being responsible for 20 to 40% of my revenue every single month. And that's through follow-up things like, and when someone browses your website and abandons it, they get an email chain. When someone clicks on something and abandons it, they get an email chain. When they add it to their cart and they abandon it, they get an email chain. When they add it to the checkout and they go to checkout and don't enter in all their information, change at the last minute, they get an email chain. When they show up on my website and they ask for a free thing for 10% off or whatever, they get an email chain. I'm telling you that these functions are the same thing that Amazon and all the other retailers are doing on the back end of their business. And this is where Klaviyo provides value. And a lot of people are like, Klaviyo is expensive. Well, yeah, if you're not making any money on the front end, it costs you a lot on the back end for sure. But here's the thing about our businesses too, is that we need to stop thinking that this is just a magic window where we can put money in and money comes back out. It's the rough truth. This industry is really, really bad about it. They expect that because they have a book for sale that they deserve money from a customer. They deserve it. I put money into this. I put ads money into this. I deserve the more money back out. And what they haven't ever done is said, well, maybe I need to adjust how I'm speaking to the customer. Maybe I need to adjust how easy it is to make a purchase. Maybe I need to adjust my pricing. Maybe I need to adjust my message. But this idea that we deserve anything for the money we put in is a rough place to be. I've built several businesses, and each one takes on average 5 years to make a penny back. And yet in this industry, we expect that as soon as we put a penny in, we get a penny out at least. So I challenge anybody to say, if you really believe that your future is in publishing, that these minor things that you look at, like the $20 a month, it might only be your $20 that you have. The data you're going to get from having that $20 there and seeing what a customer is doing when they interact with your website, that is more valuable than just $20 that you had. It is absolutely more valuable because knowing everything about your customer better helps you adjust and answer questions that they have about the things that you are trying to give them.
And better helps your software follow up with them because it knows too.
Yes. So the system in as a whole. And so Shopify, people complain about the cost of Shopify all the time. And I'm like, look, let's check your Starbucks budget. Let's see it. How much are you spending there? Because I do not believe that paying for the thing that is going to give me the most stability, that is going to be an asset for my future, that is on my side. They don't have to give us the Shopify network. They do that so we stick around. That's free. That's a free thing that's given. The customer support from Shopify to build your store is free. The AI that they have now built into their store to help you design assets for your store is free.
It's good too. I was using it earlier today.
It is included in your subscription. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure your store stays up and running and you happy. I am willing to pay a lot of money to ensure that this store has the chops to display my books in a way that ensure the highest level of success. We can slap together a WordPress store all day long, or a Squarespace website. We can slap them together, and we can piece together some sort of to make it look as closely as possible. But in the end, I would rather go with a company or a product that is on my side. I'm not an affiliate of Shopify or anything like that. I don't get any kickbacks from them for mentioning them. I mention it because I see the potential for everybody to build a good looking store very quickly and without a whole lot of heartache. Like that to me is powerful. So Shopify in combination with Klaviyo on the back end and then running meta ads on the front end, that is the fastest way to get going. That is, and what you're not building here, you're not building a store to just kind of hang out there. You're building an asset that if you ever have things for sale, it becomes very easy to upload those things for sale and send somebody there to go make a purchase. So
Well, so moving on to the next step, because we are
Yes,
at
yeah,
an hour,
please.
we got to do Q&A and all that. I just want to take a moment to like really think about the mindset shift here. And mindset has kind of a just a really wimpy reputation, like, oh, it's just mindset. But that switch between thinking like a business and thinking like the artist that you are when you create your book is you want to be thinking like business, thinking of the customer. What is the customer sincerely running into as they make their way through, who's never heard of you, as they're making their way through the offer or your store, rather than my book is really good and people will read the back copy and they'll be interested. And once they get into it, they'll figure out. Nobody is going to take the time to get into it. Like nobody is going to exert the effort required to like your book. You have to hit them in the face with it. So just get that that's a big shift. So I want to get into Q&A, but before we get into Q&A, I know, like, go ahead and make the sign of the cross, whatever you got to do. But I talked David into like, dude, you need to show people how to do this, because he will set up, like, he sets up stores for people and it costs $30,000 to like configure everything. And I said, dude, you need to make a little step-by-step, show people like, well, this is how you set this up in Shopify. This is how you set this up in Klaviyo. Here is my ad strategy that I would recommend that you do. Here are the indicators that you look at, because your impressions, your CPM, your CTR, click-through rate, your conversion rate, all that shit, like, how do you decipher that? So he's put a thing together and it's going to be in cohorts, and I'm part of the first cohort. So I will be there for the Q&As. I'm doing a little bonus for like people who sign up in the next, because it's going to go up in 2 weeks. So, or not go up, but like the price will rise, and anybody who gets in that period, I have a little bonus module I'm going to do on the live sales and direct sales, like how that virtuous loop works and how to make that work. And do you want to, so first of all, it's at directsalesforauthors.com. Yes, it's expensive. Again, I just kind of wash my hands and go, if it offends you that it's expensive, then I don't really know what to say. If you can't afford it, okay, that's legit. But this is something that I sincerely would buy from David, having worked with him. I don't have to, because I'm part of it. But believe your ass, I will be attending every session just like everybody else. So do you want to take people through what that is?
Yeah. So direct sales for authors, this is my knowledge compounded into one database. And so it is a course step-by-step talking you through and clicking through these individual modules like Shopify, like Klaviyo, like meta ads, and the strategy to get going on building this asset. It's not a magic pill. This doesn't fix anything for you, right? If you this still counts on the idea that you've written an amazing book, and I believe that each one of you do and have written amazing books. I don't think that I think there's poorly edited books, but I don't really think there's a bad book out there. I think there's I think everybody can write, and
Will
that's
you get
important.
instantly rich though?
Yes, you will. No, so that's the thing, is that this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is tough. This is hard work. But let me tell you about when I went direct. This is my story. When I was all in on Amazon, this is about 3 years ago. I was all in on Amazon. I had 30,000 people on my list. And this was my plan from the beginning. I lost money on those 30,000 people. I spent ads getting them onto my list for years. And I built this cultivated list. And then when it came down to it, I said, I am going direct. You can support me or not. Here's why I'm going direct. You will pay full price for my books because they are absolutely worth it. I want you to support me as an indie author. I hit them in every single heartstring there was. And I said, click here to continue buying my books from Amazon. Click here to buy my books from my store. When they clicked the link to go to Amazon, it immediately unsubscribed them without any other page in
I
between.
love that story. It got you in trouble, right? Like you had to
I had to call my email.
Provider.
I had to send the email provider a message because I lost like 7,000 subscribers in a day. But they were all unsubscribed. And so like, okay, we understand. So the people that remained that bought from my store went on to purchase not only my highest year in sales ever, following up, we went from 25,000 that year to 50,000, but also they paved the way for Scare Mail. This same readership allowed me to sell Scare Mail to folks. And I made my entire annual paycheck as a police officer in a week on that one email because I built trust to buy from my store. So that is something to keep in mind, is that when you are going direct, I would say to everybody, I say, screw the wide game. You're going to feed 6 different beasts. And why not just feed the biggest beast? So, yeah. So, like, you feed 6 different beasts. And, but with a Shopify store, I say go all in. You should never look back on what your retailers are doing. I think I sell like $8,000 to $10,000 a month on Amazon. I haven't really checked. I don't know. I think I do. I don't advertise there, and I don't send anybody there. That my books just through the natural course of advertising get found there. So when I say this is something that is worth investing in, I believe that your Shopify store will outlive the whatever the cost that you foresee in your head up front. So the thing that you're getting is you're building an asset here that's going to outlast, and the skill that it requires to think like an author, to think like a business person instead of like an author, you're going to develop that skill along the way, and you're going to see that kind of light bulb come on. You're like, okay, it makes sense now. And don't get me wrong, a lot of this is modeled off of Amazon. And so you're going to get a peek into Amazon and say, oh man, this makes sense. I understand why Amazon does it. I understand why David does it. I understand why Johnny's doing it. It makes sense to do it this way. So yes, that is the course in a nutshell. It is the technical walkthrough. We've given you the woo-woo. We've been talking about that shit. There are plenty of people who want to sell you the mindset. We're not selling you the mindset. I am selling you the difficult part, which is walking through the technical aspects and understanding what they do for you. From there, you walk away with a fully built store. That's something that I would normally charge, like Johnny said. I built several of them, but that would normally charge $30,000. I'm not saying that this course has that in value. That is what my time cost is for creating these stores for people. So one price, lifetime access. Johnny's cohort is the first one. He's going to be in the cohort with us for 6 weeks. It's an hour live session every week with Q&A with me and Johnny. We'll also be helping people in the group in the school, going through and answering the technical questions along the way. We're going to be giving examples of what it looks like when things are working properly and when things that should be changed. There's critiques involved. It's a fully it's a cohort based group. So keep in mind that when this sale period is over, we're going to close it down for good. We don't know if we're going to offer this thing for sale again. Johnny's the first cohort for now, but I don't know if I'm going to do this again. So that is something that we have available. So Birdie's quick question is, yes, there is Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay also available on there, and they allow for payments.
They're
and so
we
we have
checkout, Birdie. It's not straightforward. So, I mean, you basically, if you go to the checkout, then it gives you the bunch of options, and it's like PayPal, blah, 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 Klarna, and what was the other one? Afterpay. Those will both have payment options, and I don't even think they charge much extra. It's not like the payment plan costs you a lot more. Now, I will say, like, let me step in here as artisan author guy. Do you absolutely need this? No. But if you're interested in building direct sales, this is how I would do it. Is it like going to make you rich right away? No. If you don't want to be a 6-figure author and you just want to like make a little bit, well, I would still argue it's worth it if you can make enough to pay for the fees and stuff, because you obviously want to sell some of your books and the artisan author wants a direct connection. Should you immediately trust everything we're saying? No. Like, you should run it through your filter. I'm giving you information. If you're interested in it, then this is the way I would recommend it. But is it a cure-all? Absolutely not. If you're struggling and you just suck at business and it's going to like take food off your table, don't do it. Like, just have some intelligence. But if you can make the investment, and in this case, that's one of those bullshitty words people throw out when they just want your money. It sincerely is an investment. And what I mean by that is it's not going to pay off right away. I can almost guarantee that. It is going to take time. But do you want to keep throwing your money into Amazon or wherever else you're going, or do you want to build an asset? So like, that's sort of my disclaimer for that. Again, it's directsalesforauthors.com. And it's going to be, we're doing 2 weeks from today. So today is February 10th. So that would be February 24th. The price jumps up by $200, and my bonus goes away, the one that I'm doing the live sales thing. And by the way, you are getting a pre-sale. It is not live until June. And the reason is because you need to start gathering your assets, taking inventory, potentially warming up a pixel or running experiments if you're game for that. There were other reasons, right?
Yeah. I'm busy, man. I run 3 companies. And sometimes that's what it takes to sit down and say, I have 6 weeks I can dedicate to this. I teach college English on occasion through community college, and they're the same way. Where I'm like, hey, look, I can't teach this. I'm just too busy. So we pre-plan this in advance, especially because the live element is so important to make sure that you and I could both sit down and be available for these sorts of things. So, yeah. So this is um, uh, uh, okay. So there's a lot of questions here, Johnny. We should probably get to a couple of these.
So let's. I'm just going to get the ones that I see right now. You'll have to answer Jody's, but let me answer Julie's quickly. Is this? I'm flinching a little bit at system. I know that you're just using a word and it doesn't mean anything, but I'm like, system to me speaks to like one of those miracle cures. But I would say that this approach to author business, is it worth doing if I have one book so far, or should I learn it now and implement it later when I have more books? It's up to you. Do you want to keep building more books? Do you want to start that relationship with your customers? I mean, what do you think, David? Like one book properly marketed can easily pay for that. But it's not a guarantee.
It's a whole lot easier to start with one book than it is to start with 20 and get them set up on a site. It's easier to learn from your mistakes when you have one book versus 20 books. So I would say start now, but that's how I am about it. And let me just say, I'll add this last piece and I'll stop harping on this. You can learn everything I'm going to teach you on your own, but what you're getting is everything consolidated and in a window that makes sense for authorship, because I've been there and I've done that. That's what you're actually getting. All these instructions, you could spend the time building it through Shopify and talking to Klaviyo support and watching YouTube videos, but a lot of us want to just get back to the creative, and that's totally fine. And so that's what you're actually paying for. We're not selling secrets, and that's one thing I don't want to do. I'm not selling a system. I'm not selling secrets. We're selling a technical implementation and a walkthrough. So that said, let's answer a couple more here.
And by the way, this is open to all the questions. It's not just like the point where like we've transitioned to sales mode. We're only going to talk about our shit.
Yeah,
like we'll answer any
exactly.
question.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Jody's on here, says, will there a pre-class organizer for assets, etc.? Yes. So within the next month or so, I'll be releasing the do it all checklists, which are everything you need to basically run through the settings on Shopify and on Klaviyo to basically get prepared. And so you'll be able to follow that step by step. So that is, Birdie, that's kind of like your pre-class to-do list. Donovan, you don't have to. So the cohort is designed in a way that you can just rip your assets right off of WordPress and WooCommerce and drop them directly into your site. So that's easy. And any merit in bundling a free ebook version with a direct sold book? Why? Because in my mind, that's two different products. So Steve, the ebook is of a $6.99 value, and the print book is of a $14.99, $18.99, $20 value. But at the same time, the two types of customer you're serving are likely to be two different types of readers. So you have an ebook reader, which is a type of person, and then you have the direct physical book, which is a type of person. My wife, she'll grab an ebook if she doesn't trust the author very much. She'll give them a chance, but she'll buy she'll rent the ebook on from Libby or whatever, and then she really loves it getting started, she'll go buy the print book. So yeah.
Let me add one more thing to Steve's question. So the one thing we didn't touch at all, because oh my God, there's so much that we can't touch. But I imagine it's in the class. I haven't looked. But I actually is bundling and not bundling, but packaging and presentation. So I have, if you may run across one of my ads, if you run across an ad for Pretty Killer on Meta from me, it's for the author signature bundle. Which, by the way, guess who had that idea? This dude. So. Because then it's a different thing. And so what it includes is not just Pretty Killer, but it's signed and it ships within 24 to 48 hours because I send them from here. You can do Book Vault fulfillment if you want. That's totally fine. It just means it'll take longer and you can't sign it. But I include a free ebook. This is, to me, the magic of ebooks, is because even though the absolute value you'll make when you sell an ebook isn't higher than the corresponding paperback if you've done things correctly, it is a free thing to you to include. So that includes an ebook of the target, so a different book. And so now they're like, oh, I get this book and it's signed and I get a free ebook in the same genre to read right away, which I send them right away. That makes it a more attractive author. That's the offer. That's that whole put the right offer in front of the right people in the right way. I had to, and I was going to say I had to think about that. I didn't. I just did what David told me to do. But it's like that offer is way more compelling than here's this story, because people get the idea, that's like engagement or interest, and then they look for several steps of confirmation, or on the negative side, friction, which says it's a deal breaker. So if all lights are green, it's like the subsequent steps reinforce. Oh, it's signed. In a little bit more. Oh, it's got a free ebook with it. So anyway, I would just wanted to add that.
Yeah. So, and that's one thing we'll kind of discuss is building a hero offer.
Yeah.
Right. We want to sell the most expensive thing that we can with the highest margin to the people who want it. Right. We want to build super fans, cultivate super fans. Like, I don't want to find bargain at the bottom of the barrel bargain hunters and send them to my store. Like, that's not the type of customer I'm looking for. I'd rather get one person that pays $600 than, a bunch of customers that pay $6.
Pay $6. Let me answer Claire's question because she asked it earlier. Johnny, could you tell me what you use for your book in series element on your product page? Guess who told me about this? David fucking Vergoots. So it's a Shopify app. Because Shopify, if you aren't familiar with Shopify, you can do these. They're like WordPress plugins. They're like you add functionality, and sometimes you have to pay for them. And I do have to pay for this. It's called Linked Option, and it's really cool because what it does is it takes a bunch of independent product listings. So in the simplest example, if you have 7 books in a series and they're all ebooks, or you have an ebook and a paperback version of the same book, if you have, in that case, let's say you have a 7-book series and you have it in ebook and paperback and audiobook, that's 21 independent products. And if you're trying to get people to pay attention to that, then it's that you confuse, you lose. You're like, is this book 1? Is it book 7? It's everywhere. So I consolidated everything using that Linked Option app on one page. So now when you click on Pretty Killer or whatever, or let's say Invasion from anywhere, it will take you to the book 1 paperback because that's what I want to sell most. Or in the case of Unicorn Western, it will take you to the omnibus paperback. But then it has those, if you, JohnnyBTruantBooks.com, go and look. It has thumbnails of all the covers, and then it has formats. And so you can say, okay, ebook of book 3, and you can easily click because it's all on one page. It's clear. It's what it is. And that really, shores up the confusion. And that was one of my big epiphanies too, is because through my eyes, I could forgive it. Through the customer's eyes, nobody was buying. Do we have a list of what is that?
CJ's been marking them off.
Okay,
there's
Shopify,
a couple here.
What is that Shopify app for links again? Linked Option. It was and it's, you create independent pages and it just links them together. So it's actually switching between products, but you don't have to screw with variants.
And then there's a question here from Tracy. I have a WooCommerce store with 250 plus titles. Is there a point in me joining the cohort, as it'll take me more weeks to move over to Shopify if I move at all? When does the course starts? So yeah, with 250 titles, it is tough. So it is a tough decision to make, that if it's worth your time to move to 250 titles over. I know that WooCommerce is on the back end of things. You've got WordPress, which requires tinkering, right? There's not as simple as, hey, let's drop an app in there, and if these app designers have a fiduciary responsibility to helping you keep their app happy and keeping you happy with their app. So it's a tough decision. I think the cleanest interfaces are on Shopify. You've got to make a choice. Everything that we teach, or I teach, is going to be through a Shopify lens. Because I do understand WooCommerce. I had a WordPress store. I understand how it works. But I would never recommend that over Shopify at this point. A lot of people have this sunk cost fallacy where they believe that, well, I have to keep charging forward up this hill because I'm already started. Well, there's nothing that says you have to, right? There's no inherent sunk cost into setting up 250 titles over there. You might as well turn around and set them up on something that's going to be better for you in the long run. So in my mind, Shopify is always going to be king for that until something else comes around. And then I'll recommend that one.
The principles will be the same, but like the walkthroughs, and I don't know that was explicit, but you're talking about the Q&As and the cohort and all that. That's on top of the videos that specifically show the steps, right? Like that's actually the core, and then all the other stuff augments it. So I think it's a bad idea for David and I to try and screen the questions. We should just make CJ a point on that, right? So do you want to?
Yeah, CJ's got a list that she's got a list that she pulled together, the ones that we didn't answer. So if there's and what we'll do is we'll answer some of those in an email, and we'll send that out to everybody so they understand. So if we didn't get to your question, we will try to answer them in an email. It's been, just as raw as we gave it to you today. But in the end, you should know this from us both, is that we love you dearly as other authors. We love you dearly as colleagues. If this is going to put you out, we would rather you not pay for it. We don't want anybody put out by thinking that this is just the next new hot thing. This is an option amongst a sea of options for you all doing, for you all publishing books. If you are finding success on Amazon and your last $500 is going to go to this course, I don't know if this is the best investment for you. It may be something that you invest in later. So just keep that in mind, is that we will not be hurt by you not signing up. We both make a living from our writing. We just have a knowledge that we want to share. And I think that's important. So just keep that in mind. We don't want anybody put out. I want you to say that I gave David my last penny and I got screwed over. My place in this industry means a ton to me. I love you guys so dearly. So I don't want anything negative attached to my name. So if I can help you, I will. And if I can't, it's okay. So thank you, everybody. Johnny, you got anything else, man?
No, I guess we're answering them via email, so I better start typing, or you better start typing, or somebody better start typing. But yes, thank you everybody for attending. I hope that we hit our goal, because our goal was not like sales or whatever. We were both very clear about this, and I'm not bullshitting anybody. Is we talked about this and we were like, it cannot just be a sales webinar. Yes, there is a thing at the end, but it needs to be inherently valuable. So I hope that everybody got like a lot of psychological shifts or whatever out of this in and of itself. Like that was my goal. And if we failed to deliver, then I deeply apologize for that, because I hate that smarmy, like bait and switch shit. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here. This is super cool. We'll send out the recording, and we'll send out the questions, because you may have had the same question as somebody else. I don't think those will happen at the same time, but we will take care of that. So you don't have anything else, right? We're good.
Oh, one last thing. Yeah, if you're worried about the course, you take the course and you didn't like it, you didn't get the value out of it, we'll give your money back. Like it's that simple. If you didn't feel like you got the ideas down, if you felt like this wasn't for you, if you weren't tracking, that's okay. We'll give your money back.
Forever?
Forever and ever. Yeah,
because last
absolutely.
I heard it was the first 30 days. So are you, by the way, this is David's thing. Like
this is
here,
my thing.
Right?
This is my thing. Within 30 days, of course. Like you take the whole course and you get your money back, right? I don't want you to think that you get drip fed the course and we're going to take portions of it. No, like if you got 30 days, take the course, learn the knowledge. If you love it, keep it. But if you're like, hey, this wasn't for me, I don't want it, just let us know in 30 days and we'll give it to you back. So that's important to know. So yeah, happy to. Yep.
Super. Well, Julie said we definitely delivered. So I am going to see that and just ignore the rest of the chat out of the risk that maybe somebody said we didn't. So hopefully, thank you everybody for being here, and we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah. Thank y'all.